This one is for my Black women. Are you shrinking yourself? Don't do that. Let's talk about it. Hey, ladies. Okay, let's talk about it. I want you to stop shrinking yourself. We're not doing that anymore. We're not shrinking. We're going to own who we are right now. And I'm going to share about me as well while we're talking about this, because I had to stop shrinking myself. I had to stop it. And I feel like right now, the climate that we're in as Black women, we're being plucked, poked, and provoked at the same time. And we're not dealing with that. But I just want you to stop shrinking yourself. I want you to live in your truth, be who you are, be as powerful as you are. I got my little notes right here. As you guys always know, the iPad will be in full effect because we don't want to miss anything, And I want to talk about how life teaches us not to say be less, but to kind of like shrink ourselves because we are the blueprint, okay? I keep touching these glasses because, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, I have on my glasses and I just keep touching them. I just keep like, just keep touching them because they're like a little piece to me. They're like a little accessory. I want to just talk about this, like not shrinking yourself and for you to be in your power. The first area I want to address is the cost of shrinking yourself. There's so much that hinders you when you shrink yourself. There's missed opportunities, you lose your confidence. And, we can also talk about generational silence. Think about back in the day for us, who remembers this stuff, where it would say, hey, when you go in these spaces, make sure you ain't saying nothing. Make sure you speak properly. Make sure you do this. Just making us have to silence ourselves and not be who we really are. In addition to that, the stereotypes of us as Black women, we're loud, we this, we in the body language, for those of you who are watching, I just kind of like roll my shoulders, what they say that we do, which we do because we can, okay? That's our inside. That's for us. That's us. That's not something for the world. The world watches it because, we're in it, but that's for us. That's for us. We can have our own stuff. In addition to a cost of shrinking yourself is like the emotional toll of shrinking yourself. It's exhausting. To minimize yourself, it's very exhausting. And you have resentment. You have resentment in all areas because you want to actually be yourself. And I'm going to give you something for myself right now. I felt like I was shrinking myself for not really showing up on my platforms the way I really want to. I pretty much at this point, when it comes to like Instagram and TikTok and anything else that's like, I don't post. If I go out and I might eat something like that, I use it the way I used it back in the day. I don't create short form content. I am a long form content girl. And I felt like I had to shrink myself and do short form just to do and be a part of this content creation world. No, everyone doesn't consume short content. I mean, they do. I know I do. But, some people thoroughly like long form content like this, or if it's a blog or whatever the case may be. I got back into my blog. I really have. And I feel so good about it. I'm doing things that's making me feel good, but yet it's still providing value. And I'm still able to communicate with my audience. I'm not shrinking myself anymore. I'm really not. And I don't want you to shrink yourself either. And I don't want to be exhausted with trying to keep up with the Joneses. I'm just not. And as I mentioned before, I felt like in order for me to do my YouTube videos, I had to always have makeup on. I had to have the nice outfit on. I had to have a fresh haircut. I had to, right now, if you are watching, for those of you who are listening, I have on a sweater, a tank top. I have my glasses on. I don't have on any makeup. And I am sitting here and I am just doing what I really enjoy to do. And I don't want to have to show up with a mask on. Because every day, Kelly does not have on makeup. For people who have ran into me in the street, 9 times out of 10, I don't have on makeup. I love makeup. Makeup is still a happy place for me. Do I still have a plethora of makeup? Yes, I do. Do I still go out and buy makeup? Yes, I do. Do I buy it like I used to? No, I don't. So many launches have came. I just don't do it like I used to. But I do love it. I have a bunch of makeup over here in front of me that I haven't even opened yet, that I have to share, on my Instagram. I have to share it. Because companies, remember that I like makeup. So they do send it to me. But that's not where I am. That is not where I am. So I don't want you to have any resentment. I don't want you to shrink yourself. I want you to show up for yourself and the world as who you really want to be and who you really are and where you are right now. Right now, be present. Be present where you are. It feels so good. Let me tell you something. I used to always be either far in the past or I was too far in the future. And we know what that does: depression and anxiety. And we don't want to be there. We do not want to be there. Okay? So, how to own your power. Recognize your triggers. If that's work, relationships, family. Let me tell you, I was recently triggered. And an individual told me, they triggered me. And they didn't know they triggered me, but I had to explain to them how they triggered me and how it affected me. And then they went on in their logical brain, no empathy, no sympathy, and it was all about them. And that's when I said, you know what? You got to get out of my life because you just pretty much didn't acknowledge my feelings. I acknowledged your feelings. You didn't acknowledge mine. So I said, you know what? You can't be. And if I would have let them continue to be in my life, I'd have been shrinking myself just to appease them. No, I'm too grown for that. It ain't working out no more. It's okay. If I see you in the street, hey, no bad blood, but we just know that we just can't have that kind of relationship anymore. I'm okay in my life with removing people from my life. We're going to talk more about that later. I have a good conversation about that coming up. But recognizing that, what are your triggers? What triggers you in work? If your work is not serving you anymore and you're depressed and you feel drained and you're taking sick days off just to have a day, it might be time for you to look for a new job. But, I'm not telling you to do anything crazy. You know what's best for you. Relationships, if it's friendships, if it's romantic, if it's platonic, if it's your girlfriends, if it's your homeboys, even if it's your relatives, if they're not doing right, they got to go. Okay? Don't shrink yourself for no one. Okay? You know what? I might do we might talk about family in regards to how family feel that if a person in your family has treated you wrong, you're supposed to forgive them, move on, and bring them back into your life so they can still cause mischief. No, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing that. But also, we moving on. Also, building self-worth apart from external validation. That's how you own your power. And i.e., I don't care if you like me or not. I like myself. I love myself. So I'm going to make sure that I make myself feel good, however that may look. Whatever it takes, me literally pouring into myself. I just recently started a Patreon. I'm telling you guys a little snippets what I'm doing. I recently started a Patreon because you guys remember when, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I think I did. My channel got demonetized and it really, really kind of played with me. And I didn't even know anything about Patreon. I've heard about it before, but I didn't know much about it. And you pretty much, you have your content over there and you can pretty much have a paywall up. You charge $5, you charge $10, $20, whatever you choose to charge, and you can still get paid for your work. You can still have a place for your work to be in regards to like me doing my YouTube videos and stuff like that. I do have my podcast up there, but I don't have it behind a paywall or anything like that. I was going to share about setting up. I want to start. I can't get it out. I'm not going to charge for it, but I don't have a space here to share that. So I want to start sharing about me, how I'm pouring into myself. And this is where I was mentioning here about, you know, building self-worth, how that may look. My parents, I'm sharing here, my parents got divorced when I was around 9 or 10. So I did see, a father figure in the home, but my mother raised me. My mother raised me. Even though he was there, he won't there. Some can relate, some cannot relate. Me going to therapy for the last 5 years have allowed me to heal, in which we're still trying to heal that little girl inside of me. And me building my self-worth, because I've definitely made some bad decisions throughout the years, and I don't want to blame me not having a father in my life. But yet, when you have a father in your life, a good father, they can guide you along the way and share some insights on how relationships may go. But as you get older, you've come to realize, even if a man tells you what to expect, this game of chess that relationships and life play is crazy. So I had to learn that on my own. And I want to share something that I'm doing on my Patreon. And for those of you, I don't know if many of you women may have grew up without a father, may have had a father, may have grew up without a mother, may not have grew up with a mother. However that scenario may have went. I want to share my story now. Before, I would not share. I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed of coming from a single home, because people had made it seem that coming from a two-parent household was like the end all be all. And just like how being married was like the end all be all. But I know so many people that came from two-parent households and they struggle worse than a person that came from a single parent home. And for me, coming from a single parent home, I feel like I have turned out to be amazing. And I definitely want to give credit to myself, my mother, and the village that was around us. So I'm sharing on my Patreon. I'm feeling so vulnerable right now. A series that I'm doing, and it's called Unfathered. And I'm sharing my story as being a young girl who didn't have her father, and how it affected me throughout my life, and how I caught myself. I almost oh, how I am healing that young girl inside of me. Oh, yeah. So yeah. Oh, that was a bit much. So that's how I'm building my self-worth and setting myself apart from external validation, where when you're young and you don't have that, you might contend to seek that from, male validation, or just out and about from people. You don't need that. You're getting that from yourself. You're building that self worth. Ooh. Mm. And also just speaking up, setting boundaries, and just being unapologetic. I did a podcast episode on that, about just being unapologetically you and living in your truth and not worrying about anybody else. And I tell you, these last 5 years have been amazing for me. Amazing. I've learned so much. Really, 6 years have been so much for me, and seeing how I have grown as a woman, and how I can sit back and look at the Kelly before and how she was. And even like, you know, talking to my friends, and talking to women that I've met along the years, and new friend groups that I have made, and still cherishing the groups that I had and still have to this day. And just, celebrate your power. Celebrate where you are and celebrate your story. And that's where I am. I'm celebrating my story. You know, some people are afraid to share their story, in regards to not having a father, maybe not having a mother, maybe not having the best relationship with their mothers or with their fathers, or even with their children. It's a podcast that I came across. They haven't really done any episodes yet, but they were talking about mother and daughter relationships. How some people will have the worst relationship, even like mother and son, father and son, however dynamic, mother and son, however that dynamic may look, but they sit back and try to cover it up in front of people, but behind closed doors, it's like they just two bulls going at it head to head. But I'm here to celebrate where I am. I'm celebrating my story, and I want you to do the same. I want you to celebrate your story and not shrink yourself for nothing. Because when you release all that past stuff and be in your present, it just feels so good. It feels so good. And you have to do everything at once. A little piece here, a little piece here. Don't let nobody rush you in anything that you do. That's where I am. I'm just dropping as I go, dropping as I go. Because I'm pretty much starting from the beginning with that little girl inside of me. And then it'll evolve into things that I may have experienced and that I may have done out my life. Look at Kelly, and look at you. Look at us. And also, last but not least, like just like daily mindset shifts. And I love a good affirmation. If those of you who may not know, I do have a affirmation list. I will leave that down below for you to go download. It's free. And I want you to take heed to it and use it when you need it, when you're feeling like down and you need a little pick me up. That's what they're there for. And also daily if you want to, so you can kind of like ingrain that into your head to know that, you her, okay? You are her. Visualizing your next level self. Like, how do you see yourself? Like right now, I'm 49. And how do I see myself at 50? What does that look like? What do I want this next decade to look like? I can only control what I can, not what I can. I can set the groundwork and then I can move forward and I can paint the picture. And if I do have any hiccups along the way, which sometimes there will be, we know how to pivot, but we have that groundwork. We always say, hey, yeah, this may have came, but I want to go back to what I said I was going to do. If you got a roadblock, we know how to navigate through that roadblock. And also building a community. If you have to build a new community, finding spaces where you see yourself in. And that's exactly what I've been doing. I know that I want to pursue this podcasting thing. I keep calling it a thing. But I have to put myself in that space. I don't have to do it the way everyone else does it. I can do it the way Kelly wants to do it. And I can always evolve, even if it doesn't work out. I see myself in spaces, in the finance spaces. You guys know that I'm a finance manager for what I do for a living. And I want to share more about finances. I want to really pour into finance in a newsletter. I want to talk about more health and wellness, but via the newsletter. So I'm gonna leave that in the I'm going to leave that in the description for those of you who are on YouTube. And if you are on, if you're listening, I will leave it in the show notes so you can go and subscribe to the newsletter. And while you're there, go ahead and download the free affirmations. It's free. It's free. It's free. So I'll leave both links in both places for everyone. What I want to share today in regards to stop shrinking yourself, own who you are, where you are right now, and be the best Black woman you could possibly be. Okay? So, in saying that, if you are listening, follow. If you are watching, subscribe, share, thumbs up. And if you like this conversation, please leave your thoughts and opinions. Please, thumbs up, all the things, to pretty much let other women just like us come on over to the community and have good conversations with us. I'll catch you in the next conversation.